It is 1997. In Concord, New Hampshire, 15-year-old Tina Anderson discovers she is pregnant.
In your church, what happens to girls who get pregnant?
Very shunned.
A member of the Independent Fundamental Baptist Church, or IFB, Tina says she decides that instead of turning to her mother, her pastor, or the police, she will confide her secret to the man who allegedly raped her, Ernie Willis.
And what was his reaction?
He volunteered to pay for me to get an abortion, and I told him no. And then he asked me if I wanted him to punch me in the stomach as hard as he could to try to cause a miscarriage.
Punch you in the stomach?
I told him no. Leave me alone.
Tina turned next to her mother, Christine Leaf, a deeply religious woman.
She immediately called Chuck Phelps.
The pastor?
Correct.
Tina says she told Pastor Phelps and his wife Linda that Willis had raped her and gotten her pregnant.
I was very scared, and I was sure I would be blamed. And I was. Pastor Phelps took me to a passage in Deuteronomy where it talks about if a girl doesn't cry out, that she obviously was a part of it. And he told me that I was lucky I didn't live in Old Testament times, because I would have been stoned.
Stoned to death?
Correct.
For being pregnant?
Yes.
For being raped?
Yeah. Because I think Ernie claimed it was consensual.
Did it matter to Pastor Phelps that a 15-year-old girl can't legally give her consent?
No.
During the meeting, Tina was also alarmed by a remark she alleges Pastor Phelps's wife Linda made.
She actually asked you if you enjoyed having sex with Mr. Willis?
Yes. I was in complete shock, and I think I was just blown away that that would even cross her mind.
Linda Phelps denies saying that, but according to Tina, Pastor Phelps tells her to write a statement asking church members to forgive her transgression.
For allowing a compromising situation to occur, because I had let him in my house.
Which brings us back to that October Sunday in 1997. Hundreds of congregants fill the pews at Trinity Baptist Church. Children and teenagers are asked to leave the sanctuary.
Then Pastor Phelps said we have a matter of church discipline to deal with.
First, Ernie Willis stands up and admits to adultery and asks for forgiveness.
And then Pastor Phelps said, here's a completely different matter, and made me get up, and he read my letter. And then told everybody I was pregnant.
What did it feel like standing there in front of that entire church, having that letter read?
Completely humiliating. I was sobbing.
I was devastated to see that poor girl standing up there with this little grimace on her face.
Fran Earle, Sue Capucci, and Matt Barnhart were all in the church that night. They say they heard Pastor Phelps read Anderson's statement about her immorality.
What was your reaction, all of the three of you who were sitting there that night as you watched all of this unfold?
I was horrified. I started crying before it started, and I just couldn't stop.
He never, ever gave the impression that this man had sexual relations with this teenager standing over here. Never. It was presented as two totally separate issues.
Right.
He cheated with a woman. This young girl, unfortunately, had gotten in trouble with her boyfriend.
Fran Earle was suspicious. The next day, she confronted the pastor's wife, who says she confirmed that Ernie Willis was the father of Tina's unborn baby and said the matter was being handled. Then Earle says she confronted Tina's mother.
Why isn't this guy in jail? And she said, because I was told not to press charges, because it would affect his wife and his children, and they wanted to protect the family, keep the family intact.
At any point, did anybody say they were going to call the police?
I remember Pastor Phelps asking me if I was going to press charges, and I said no, because I thought that that's what I needed to do.
Needed to do because, she says, Pastor Phelps told her the Christian thing to do was to forgive. But Phelps, now a pastor at another IFB church, says he and Tina's mother called the Concord police and Child Protective Services. He declined our repeated requests to be interviewed, but did provide a statement to 2020.
Quote, tragically, Tina was involved in an ongoing sexual relationship with Mr. Willis. Tina lied to her mother and to me about his relationship. Tina begged her mother to protect Ernie and not turn this matter over to police.
That's baloney. I didn't beg to not have it turned over to the police. It's not true.
Events are moving quickly. Tina is sent from her home to stay in the pastor's so-called prophet's chamber, a guest apartment above his garage.
I felt very isolated. I wasn't allowed to talk to my friends because I was a bad influence on them, they said.
What did Pastor Phelps say you had to do?
I had to leave the church.
Within a week, Tina says she was whisked away without a trace, banished, flown from New Hampshire to this home in Denver, Colorado, to live with an IFB family she had never met. Her alleged attacker, Ernie Willis, paid for her airline ticket. Both Pastor Phelps and Tina's mother contest her account and told 2020 she made the decision to send her daughter away. But Tina's brother, Tom Dooley, doesn't see it that way.
He put it in her head that everybody would be better off if Tina got sent away.
He believes Pastor Phelps wanted Tina out of state to prevent police from collecting evidence or statements.
Sending Tina to Colorado, the police weren't able to do anything. To me, that's just a big old cover-up.
Pastor Phelps has said this was an act of compassion to have her get up in front of the church.
I would hate to see what he thinks compassion is.
Tina, pregnant, lived in this house. She was homeschooled and rarely left. She says friends back home were not allowed to contact her.
She was constantly being watched over like she was under house arrest.
Tina says her host family was kind to her, but her local IFB pastor, Matt Olson, told her she needed to write yet another letter blaming herself, this time to the wife of her alleged rapist.
I needed to apologize to Ernie's wife for my part in what happened.
Your
for betraying her trust.
He felt you betrayed Ernie's wife's trust.
Yeah. I was just broken down and I did what I was told.
Pastor Olson declined to comment. His lawyer said his conversations with Tina remain privileged. In March 1998, Tina gave birth to a baby girl. She says that Pastors Olson and Phelps gave her 3 choices of anonymous IFB adoptive families. Records show Ernie Willis admitted he was the father.
So you had 2 days with the baby before giving her up.
Yeah.
8 months after giving birth, Tina returned home to New Hampshire, to the church where Ernie Willis, her alleged attacker, still worshipped, where she says her punishment continued.
I was not allowed back into school.
What did they tell you?
Because I had gotten pregnant, I was no longer welcome to attend there.
In the meantime, where was Ernie Willis?
He was still in the church, ushering, chaperoning field trips.
So he's not a bad influence?
No.
Just you?
Yeah. It was torture.
Why do you think you didn't leave the church then? Why did you stay?
Because I was always taught that no other church was right, that this was the only church that you could go to if you were going to be right with God. But I still believed that it was my fault.
What's going on inside this church? And what about pastors in other IFB churches who tell their followers how to discipline their children?
How many whacks is irrelevant. You might need 100 stripes.
One pastor says 2 weeks after they come home from the hospital.
A 2-week-old baby needs
Yes.
to be spanked?
Yes.
For what?